Hello, how are you? Welcome back to the second video today, which is going to be a boss rush challenge community thingamajob thing. Yes, the community boss rush is on at the moment. I'm participating, or I've got a champion put on there. And by the way, I hope you all choose my title, which is The Man. Obviously, if you're a female, you can still be The Man. Look at Becky Lynch from WWE. She's also called The Man, even though there's a dispute with Ric Flair at the moment. Wrestling references. But anyway, let's get down to business. I've shrunk myself down to a smaller size to pinpoint these champions here. This was my team, and I'm going to explain why I used them for whatever given fight. Were they effective? Were they not? Did I make a bad decision? Don't know. But what I do know is you should click the like button for this video. Thank you. So let's go over each fight, what champion I used, and also what to look out for. Let's begin with my champion, which is the first on the chopping block, probably because he's the most easiest, and that's the thing. I like you guys a lot, and I don't want you to have too much of a time grind on this. So going up against this guy is just using anything. You could use Mephisto, which then pads you up for kind of going to the next fight, because persistent charges. But any champion will really do against this. I think I used Iceman against my own fight, but you could have used anything. I was thinking about using Morningstar, but further down the line, she does have some usage. But again, it implies that you've got to be very tactile with that one. That are in cases that I wouldn't say a synergy build is required, but also not required. And yes, you can use things like boost. You can use it like Nick Fury in a synergy. You can use any other champion that's going to improve things for you. But I kind of felt that it was very specific to have certain champions. And for this one, I used Iceman. The next one is very specific. And when I'm talking very specific, I mean like for this, as we've seen with like Chunky B's usage in the Summoner Showdown, I nearly call it the Summoner Showdown. A bit of a, what's he called? That James Bond geezer. I'll come to him in a minute. Regeneration is annoying on this one, and also the fact that you can't use Iron Man Infinity War, which I would have liked to have used. However, though, for this fight I used the ever delightful Mephisto. As I said, Mephisto comes into play a little bit more in this case. Also, it helps out even more if you're hitting off criticals, because as it says here, generate 12% of a power bar per second instead of taking incinerate energy damage and immune to frostbite and cold snap. I mean, the last part doesn't really count, but the first part is very important. Also, slight mention for me is watch out if you've got Unlucky on yourself, which is the red kind of passive debuff that will expire. Wait until it expires and go into a block stance, because when it comes to avoiding any kind of projectiles coming from you, it's going to be very, very annoying, and also it's going to be a pain in the butt. So box clever with this one. With Quake, this is kind of generated as, again, a fair fight, and I think this is the one that Dave put in. So again, like, Dave is kind of... You know, poor Dave, because obviously he got a lot of flack with the Iceman thing last time, so doing something that is more of a fair fight, you know, again, fair play to him. And I think that's where a lot of us have kind of learnt the lessons from last time. We want to provide something as a challenge for you, but at the same time, like, I want to go about my life without having people go, "You are a terrible person for putting in a terrible champion with those terrible nodes." I was getting a lot of issues with lag when I was recording this, which is kind of annoying. I really do need a new device, and as well, me and Em need to upgrade our internet connection or go to a new supplier, because we're really struggling at the moment with performance. However, though, sob story aside, Blade was the one that finished off. The lag was whilst I was using Domino, so I finished off with Blade. Again, a very standard fight, and tip my hat to Mr. DDD. Look forward to seeing him next week. Next up, an Invisible Woman, another kind of like fair fight, but kind of a weird champion I chose, and that was Iceman. Now, my reasonings behind this, yes, you could look at Cornered and say, well, that's a bit of a silly decision based on this. You're going to be pushing more power to that enemy based on the debuff. Yes and no. Now, the great thing about this is that you're not going to get access to any kind of special attack. So I was thinking to myself, right, well, at least I've got Ice Armor, that's going to help me out. But also, I think it's the Frostbite's a passive, so therefore they're not a damage over time debuff. I don't know with half the time these things. I was just kind of waiting for them to expire, but at the same time putting as much damage in as possible to kind of get that life transfer back. Because I was like, I want to build up my health. So I really like this fight, but I found that Iceman was a good, effective champion for this point of usage. Moving on, and I think this was Lagazy's champion, and it was a bit annoying. There were aspects where I was getting pissed off with the level of constant special attacks being thrown. So when you go initially in, it is again down to RNG whether or not the enemy builds up to an L3 just instantly like that. In other cases, I was like, right, well, I've got a chance to avoid a special. It will be a special 2, then it'd be like a special 2 again, and then a special 1. So it's just very difficult to get time to actually put in any kind of damage without having to constantly evade out specials or constantly bait out specials. And at times I just go in with full health and find that they were doing like L3, then L2, then L3, or just a case of like, it was frustrating. I'd use a combination of having Mephisto and Blade for that danger sense, which is helpful, as well the potency with Stark Spidey in tow was quite helpful. So there were options there for me. I found that in the end that was the best method. However, though, I did have some luck with Stark Spidey doing in the heavy attack and able to power drain very quickly, but you need to keep that up. And taunting does help because it would taunt out the L2 and the L1 at the time a little bit more. But it is a case of down to RNG and pot luck whether or not you're actually going to be able to hit into the enemy before being smacked by several special attacks. I did have Iceman. First time I didn't find him very effective, and I think that's because of the nullification. I think I got nullified that ice armor buff. And yeah, I didn't really think about that, and I should have done, so that's my big boo-boo there, that Ice Armor got nullified. So if it gets nullified, then reducing down the extent of damage that I'm going to take from an L3 is not going to be there, is it, Rich? Either way, it's all good, and Blade helped me out kind of finishing off the enemy, which is amazing. And now on to the final fight, which was Taskmaster. Now, I wanted to revive Iceman because I felt that the way that the champion works with providing a heavy attack, which I have to do in any case with Icarus, it's a case of 8 Fury buffs means that, well, if you got any more, you're going to start degenning. So it may be best to do a heavy attack in order to completely wipe the slate clean. Now the same thing applies with Iceman, because Iceman has to do a heavy attack in order to absorb those frostbites and get some additional energy damage. So I was thinking, right, I've got to do heavy attack anyway if I want to maximize damage, but also I've got to do it the thing with Icarus. So let's do that. And also the fact is with Power Struggle, I'm not going to be doing quite so many, not going to be getting quite so many special attacks. So I'm not going to be applying any kind of L1s or L2s. So this worked out very well, and I'm very happy with the combination. Picked up the win. And there are a few other champion choices you could do for this. They are as follows. You can have Mr. Sinister for swapping over some aspects of debuff effects. If you're worried about keeping your health, then you could use the champion that also damage outputs quite a bit with debuff effects. Not for all champions, but still, Omega Red's a fantastic champion. You've got Cap Infinitor, aka Beardo. Yes, you could use Archangel, but I wouldn't say it's recommended for every single fight. Warlock is a great champion and it's got some aspects of immunity to him. But there are so many other combinations. I really welcome you in the comment section, if you've done this or about to do this, that you just put a suggestion of who you use for what fight, because what it's doing is being part of a community, is also sharing of ideas. It's not just what I do, my experience and what I think is good. It's all about your experience as a community as well. So put in the comment section champions you used, and I welcome anybody that's a bit unsure to go to the comments section and read different people's ideas of what they use. And also look at the other Marvel Contest of Champions YouTubers videos, because they may have other ideas as well of what champion to use. Remember, when you're thinking of picking up a title, pick the man title, as Becky Lynch has already done. See, it is a gender fluid title. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, you can be the man. I'm going to be completely real and honest with you about the reward side of things. We weren't going to get this. We were actually going to get a legendary crystal. So there'll be an 80-20 split of getting a 4-star to a 5-star, which I think a lot of people would be more peed off about than ever. So if anybody's thinking about having that criticism about the rewards, could have been a lot worse. And we did say to Kabam, you're going to have to look at the rewards because they're terrible. Either way, it's improved to this. Thanks to Kabam for listening on this one. Actually quite straightforward boss rush challenge, and I think people will actually quite like this. Maybe apart from the Symbiote Supreme and the Domino fight, which unfortunately does mean that you'll have to have a Mephisto on our champion that's going to be able to deal with this Symbiote Supreme. So there are some bad ones-ish. I'd like to finish by saying thank you very much for watching. If this video was helpful, consider hitting the like button, as well hitting the subscribe button. Check out the comment section for people that are involved in the discussion and get some ideas. Also, today's Marvel Contest of Champions news is here, and maybe there's a mystery video here. I will see you tonight in the stream, 9 PM GMT or 2100 hours GMT. go to link in the description. I'll see you on twitch.tv/richtheman. Bye bye for now.